Hey there guys, Rowdy here with the Lancers, and today we have got an updated Abyss Actor deck profile for post-Soul Fusion. The Abyss Actors aren't the greatest deck in the world, but I very seriously like the concept of them, and due to the new support that they got in White Dragon Abyss, they may just become a rogue deck. Probably not, and I don't think anybody supports me in that idea, but if any of you do, and you want to make it happen, let me know. But without further ado, we are going to begin. So, starting us off, you play 3 Abyss Actor Extras. This is a really good play enabler, just being able to throw it in your Pendulum Scale, special summon it, and then tribute it for another Abyss Actor to go straight into your Pendulum Scale is very valuable, especially with Mellow Madonna in the deck now. And while he is face up on your extra deck, you can activate any of your Abyss Script spell cards effects when they're popped, which is very, very helpful, especially when there's one who does that automatically for you. Next, you play 3 Abyss Actor Mellow Madonna. I know this isn't Mellow Madonna, but I couldn't actually go get legitimate Mellow Madonna, so I'm playing Leading Lady as proxy for now until I can get actual copies. By the time I update this next, I should have Mellow Madonna. Mellow Madonna is really good in this deck. The 1,000 life point is a little annoying, but it is a tiny price to pay when you can get devastating effects off just by having 1 or 2 Abyss Actors in hand. She's definitely a necessity in this deck, and I would not run anything less than 3. Next, I run 3 Abyss Actor Superstar. He is the superstar of this deck. Being able to throw Abyss Scripts from your deck to face down on your field is great. Being able to avoid things like Drone Lockbird, being able to avoid things like Dark Law, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you can dodge Ash Blossom if you're going to set a card on your field from your deck. But I could be wrong about that. And upon a summon, nobody can activate cards and effects in response to that summon. Meaning that your opponent can't just like flip Solemn Strike or Solemn Judgment. No, they're just going to have to deal with the fact that you're Pendulum Summoning 5. Definitely run at 3. Next you play 3 Abyss Actor Wild Hope. He's good just for the ability to pop him and search. If you've got a really bad hand, just opening with only him and an Abyss Script Rise of the Abyss King, and any number of cards that just aren't the greatest, you could normal summon him, pop him, and search Mellow Madonna, and that'll usually get your plays going enough for it to be worthwhile. You run him at 3 just because of the fact that A, he's a level 4, meaning you can go into your rank 4 plays with your other level 4s, and he searches, and his attack can boost a little bit depending on how many monsters you control. Next up, I play 3 Abyss Actor Comic Relief. I like Comic Relief a lot. The ability to switch controls of your and your opponent's monsters to pop cards that you have set on your field is something really great that this deck can now pull off. Meaning that with his abilities, you can pull off things like turning your hand of 0 cards to a hand of 5 cards through Opening Ceremony, or searching out 2 Abyss Actor or Abyss Script cards off of Rise of the Abyss King. Or, in any event, you could pluck out like a Firewall from your opponent's deck, if you felt so inclined with Fire Dragon's Lair. I like running him at 3. You could probably take him down to 2, but I found it a little bit more consistent to run him at 3. And then for my 2 ofs, I play 2 Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser and 2 Abyss Actor Sassy Rookie. I'm planning on moving up the number of copies of Curtain Raiser that I have in this deck. His ability to cycle out Abyss Scripts and pull Abyss Actors back into your hand from your extra deck is really nice, especially if you need to rebuild those Pendulum Scales because of the fact that one of them got nuked or something, or you had Sassy Rookie in the scale and you blew Sassy Rookie up to defend one of your Abyss Actors. And speaking of Sassy Rookie protecting your Abyss Actors, when he's destroyed, including by his own effect while he's in the Pendulum Scale, you can special summon a level 4 from your deck, which is very nice. Sassy Rookie might go down by a copy. He's mostly there just for like defense purposes, just in case you absolutely need it. And then to cap off our monsters, I play 1 Abyss Actor Evil Heal. I like Evil Heal in this deck a lot, just his ability to completely and totally decimate your opponent's monsters in terms of attack points. If you pull him off with something like Curtain Call, you could completely and totally drop your opponent's monster to 0 unless it's got more than 5,000 attack, which is not a lot of monsters in the game. even then he's got 3,000 attack. So if you get his effect off, you could theoretically deal 3,000 damage directly to your opponent. If you could deal 6,000 damage directly to your opponent, this deck might be much better. And then for our spells, I run 3 Abyss Playhouse, Fantastic Theater. This card is great. The search effect is mediocre, but the ability to kind of control the way that your opponent is playing is nice. Being able to pluck out a resource that they might have wanted to use, so that way you can benefit yourself, is something that a lot of decks are considered broken for doing. And having a deck like this that can't really run a lot of defensive extra deck monsters during their first turn really benefit from having Abyss Playhouse face up on the field. Especially when you've got to wait for your opponent to, like, if they throw down any monster, that first monster effect is completely and totally negated. Picking out a piece of your opponent's hand is something that's always nice. For our Abyss scripts, I run 3. Abyss script, Rise of the Abyss King. Let me make sure you can see that. You can. 2 Abyss script, Opening Ceremony. 2 Fire Dragon's Lair. 2 Romantic Terror. 1 Abyss Tainment. And even though it's not an Abyss script, I'm going to include it here. Abyss Prop, Wild Wagon. A lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. You run Rise of the Abyss King to pop cards on your opponent's field. Opening Ceremony is for hand replenishment with Comic Relief. Fire Dragon's Lair I'm keeping in here just because the fact that you can use Comic Relief to nail that copy of Firewall or that copy of Electromite in your opponent's extra deck that you really just don't want there. Romantic Terror is a really good card to be able to swap out cards that are in your extra deck and put resources back into your hand. You can use this with Sassy Rookie or with Evil Heal if you really wanted to, just to decrease your opponent's monster's stat line a little bit and have the little bit of a wall there. Sassy Rookie can shove off Battle Destruction once per turn, so that's not bad to use with Romantic Terror. Abyss Tainment I'm running in here mostly for its destroyed effect, so that way you can special summon as many Abyss Actors from your deck as possible. That's really good, especially if you haven't searched out that Evil Heal, and you put 5 on the field, you can throw Evil Heal on the field and completely and totally nuke one of your opponent's monsters for relatively no cost at all. And while it's face up on the field, you're able to tribute off your own Abyss Actors to recover your Abyss scripts. That effect I use a lot less, mostly because Superstar's Pendulum effect does the exact same thing. Wild Wagon I have in here just in case Abyss Playhouse goes off, because at the moment that it's destroyed, it sends everything in your opponent's field back to their hand. Meaning that if they had to wait until they got into the Nightmares to actually pop that set card, you could shuffle in everything they control. Which is very nice. I might take it out just because of how inconsistent it is, and its primary effect isn't great. And the fact that it's an Abyss prop rather than Abyss script makes it a little bit of a downside in terms of all the monster effects and such. And then finally, for your utility spells, you run 3 Allure of Darkness. It's a dark monster based deck, of course you run Allure of Darkness. 1 Monster Reborn, and 1 Called by the Grave. You could definitely go up on Called by the Grave if you wanted. In this deck I don't personally run Solemns, but if you wanted to run Solemns, go ahead. A lot of this deck is up to player preference, that's why I have things like Evil Heal in here. And finally, to cap off our main deck, my 1 trap, Curtain Call. Curtain Call, I like Curtain Call a lot. Being able to flip that up is a little bit of a cheeky play. And just if you're going in for game and they're like, oh, you don't have enough to kill me, you can flip that Curtain Call up and just throw a crap ton of monsters down on the field. And the monsters that you add from your extra deck don't have to be the ones that you summon from your hand. So you could add a bunch of your crappy monsters that you need for your play enablers, things like extras, back into your hand, but if you searched out an Evil Heal earlier that turn, you could use Curtain Call to throw Evil Heal or Superstar or Melamadonna onto the field and push for the final game. I found it a little too inconsistent in any more copies than 1. But that's completely and totally up to you guys as players. If you wanted to run this, that's cool. If you didn't want to run this, I wouldn't blame you. It's a little gimmicky to get off, but once you get it off, it's pretty cool. And Abyss Actors have a downside to them, being that you can only summon Abyss Actors the turn that you activate some of their effects, like Melamadonna. So I don't have a huge extra deck. It's more of like a contingency plan extra deck. However, if you wanted to run more cards in your extra deck, that's entirely fine. That's, again, player preference. So for my Link monsters, I play 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice and 1 Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite. Of course, these are pretty self-explanatory. Wee Witch's Apprentice because it's a Dark Monster deck, and Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite because it's Pendulums. And due to you running 3 Comic Relief, I play 1 Break Sword just in case you ever needed it. The extra deck space in this deck isn't tight, so having the extra monster in here isn't a bad thing. Just in case you absolutely need to pop something and you didn't have the resources. For my rank 4 pool, I play Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, number 41 Baguska the Terribly Tired Tapir, and Caskel the Sky Blaster Musketeer. Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion is a really good card to close games out with. If your opponent's got that big beefy monster on the field that isn't really protected, and you can slap Dark Rebellion on the field, more power to you. That's what things like Romantic Terror are really good at doing. And not a ton of the cards completely and totally restrict you from special summoning from the extra deck, but because of the fact that Mellow Madonna is the core of a lot of your plays, you're probably not going to be summoning from the extra deck during the turn that you actually search. Baguska is pretty self-explanatory, just in case the game gets a little too fast and you need a moment to stall, so that way you can get those 1 or 2 cards that you might need. That's for Baguska. And Castel, again, just shuffling cards that your opponent controls back into the deck is always something that's nice. Or if you need to shut off a monster effect, per se, book that boy. And to top it off, we have 1 number 11 Big Eye. If I had Galaxy Tomahawk, I would include Galaxy Tomahawk here, but I don't have Galaxy Tomahawk. I feel like you could probably run Galaxy Tomahawk if you wanted to pull cards like Firewall out into the field or some bigger Link 4s. I don't think you can pull Saryuja out with the tokens, though, because I think they all have to be different named monsters. But Big Eye is just a really good rank 7 card, being able to snatch an opponent's monster. If you play this deck with the Comic Relief, you could snatch 2 monsters of your opponents during the 1 turn that you activate Big Eye's effect. Again, extra deck is player preference. If you wanted to have a little bit more of a Link spammy thing, you could use Galaxy Tomahawk and instead go into plays with Galaxy Tomahawk. Not saying any of you are going to go look for that prize card, but the Psy Beast, rank 7, I think I'm right. The Psy Beast rank 7 that banishes cards off the top of your opponent's deck. You could always do that. I mean, I've pulled that back when I was playing Dark Magicians and gotten into some crazy combos where I send almost my opponent's entire deck just face down banished. It's pretty funny watching them rage. That's it for my Abyss Actors. Again, not the greatest deck in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but not the worst. I mean, we still do have Iron Chains in TCG. I'm planning on, since this is my first deck profile, I'm planning on doing a lot more like these. I might actually upload another one tonight if time permits. It's interesting trying to get all this off the road. If you guys ever have any replays you want us to cover, go ahead and send them straight over to me. It doesn't have to necessarily be in link format. I would prefer link format. But if you decided you didn't want to use link format, that's up to you. I'll probably commentate them anyway. I'll leave the email that you can send those to in the description. And yeah, if you guys have any comments about this deck, anything that you think I could improve, anything that I might change for my next build, let me know. I will definitely try to reply to you as much as I can. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.